Okay. Hello. Let's get rolling. All right. To those of you who are live in the Facebook group, I'm running a Zoom call also. So if you're on my email list and you received any emails or registered for this, you would have the Zoom link, and then you're able to hop into the Zoom call where, I'm interacting. On Facebook, I can't really interact with you at the same time. It's just technically a little challenging. So as you have seen, because some of you have been commenting in there, I go back in and talk to you afterwards, but it's hard when we're live. So if you want to hop into the Zoom chat, Zoom call, that's the best place for us to communicate while I'm running through this information. Okay. So let's make sure everything looks like it's running smoothly and get rolling with the info. All right. So up to this point, so we're in day five of this 5-day workshop, where we've talked about clean eating for real life. So part of what I'm trying to do with this is keep it practical, keep it real. People are entering this kind of realization and awareness from all different levels. Some people barely cook at home. Others are cooking at home 5 nights a week and trying to just become more efficient at it. So how I have set up my Clean Eating Academy, how I've set up kind of how I talk about this, is that you can enter into my community, our community, anywhere along this path and kind of pick up where you are and hopefully learn more. I've been on this journey for about 14 years. So just before getting pregnant, so maybe 13 years. I have a 12-year-old. Before getting pregnant, though, I started to change over all of my cleaning products and the foods we ate and what I was putting on my body and just thinking about things in a very different way. And so I've been continuing to fine-tune, learn more, and I've just been drawn to start sharing more and more of that with you guys. A little bit of past history about me. I'm a physical therapist. I am a certified STOT Pilates instructor. My whole, everything that I've done in my career in the past, I'm 46, over 20 years, has been preventative medicine and learning how to take care of yourself and how movement affects us and how our bodies are affected by what we put on and in them. So it's been my lifelong career, and I just love talking about it. And as I had children and have seen them and what things happen in school lunches and other foods and birthday parties and all of these things, and where kids are at kind of emotionally, I just have to question how much the toxins, I'll just generalize it as that, in our environment and in our food plays a role. All right, I go on these little tangents sometimes. Okay, so anyway, we've covered a lot of topics this week. We have talked about clean food swaps, right? That was Sunday, and reading ingredient labels and being aware consumers, not giving into the marketing scams of the food industry. Then Monday, we discussed strategies to get healthy home cooked meals on the table, even when you're really busy. So time-saving tips. Wednesday, we talked about balanced eating. And we get into this a lot more in Clean Eating Academy, where we design meal plans specific to your family needs. And what I like to kind of get people to is this intuitive cooking. You're not always having to follow a recipe. That can be exhausting and mentally draining. So we want to be able to cook without recipes and know that we are creating balanced meals. Or I guess if you're looking at a recipe, is that healthy? Anybody can say that a recipe is healthy. I mean, that's marketing, right? But is it really? And then that's a spectrum as well, right? Taking steps in the direction of healthier is like fully embraced. And so that's a spectrum that we can all be on the journey to improve. So creating balanced, nourishing meals is like a big part of the academy. And I also have so many, like, I call them superfoods, but ways to sneak these nutrient dense foods into the meals we might already be making that our family loves, and balanced meals to support our metabolism, to help with our hormonal stability, our emotional stability, and that for our kids as well, with balanced blood sugar levels throughout the day is really, really important. Yesterday, we made red lentil soup. I will get that replay out to you today along with this one. And we talked about when we made the soup, I had a bunch of ingredients out. So different, like a couple different kinds of lentils and olive oils and coconut milks and all these different things that I had in my pantry. So I just kind of shared what I use. Okay, so again, this is me. This is my fam. And I just have to say how much I'm loving this week. I've had so much interaction. I've gotten to know some of you better. I've met some of you for the first time this week, and your communications and your questions help me to help you more specifically. The more I know where you are on this journey, the more I can, provide content that helps you where you are. So the more you communicate with me, the more I can communicate back to you. But that's really why I'm here. Like, I know that my health and my family's health has improved, and we hardly ever get sick. Even like my elementary school aged kid. And a big part of this is what we eat and how we support our immune systems. So if I can just help one more person or one more family to feel better, it fuels me. It's why I do this. And I got to admit, I got emotional putting this, I'm going to cry, like putting this presentation together today. As we especially get into, so we're going to talk about these two main foods to avoid. And as we get into the second topic, or the second one to avoid, it gets me really fired up. So that's coming. Hopefully I don't cry. Okay, you should have a workbook in your email that you can download. It has the recipe from yesterday. It has kind of prompts and action points throughout the week. So go ahead and grab that. And if you can always email me if you can't find it, but when I send out the replays today, I will also send you that workbook again, just so you have an updated link. All right. Aha, here we go. I've got the chat up. Yeah, Diane, oh, I can put all the replays in one email for you. No problem. I will do that. I will. It should happen. I put all the replays on my YouTube channel, which is a baby. It's a baby YouTube channel. But it should happen that when you go to my YouTube channel, then you should see all of the replays there, and you can bookmark that to be able to go there, because I will be populating that more. But absolutely, Diane, I can do that. I can add all of the replays into one email and the workbook, and then you can flag it. You can have it all in one place. So that would be great. Okay, so the first food that I think we should avoid are certain cooking oils. And a lot of them sound healthy and they're marketed to be healthy, but a lot of them are now organic, but we need to be aware that a lot of them cause inflammation in our systems, and they just aren't what we are led to believe they are. The other thing is they're easy to replace. So, sometimes if you have you love cake, right? That's a harder one to replace. You can't just find super clean cakes. But when it comes to cooking oils, readily available, healthy cooking oils are abundant. So here are the types of fats in oils. So oils are never compromised of just one type of fat or one type of fatty acid. When we think of fatty acids or the different types are monounsaturated, saturated fats. We've heard of trans fats, right? Omega-3s, omega-6s. So oils are never compromised of just one, but instead, they're made up of a variety of these fatty acids in different amounts or different proportions. And so oils are often classified as their predominant fat. So that should be made clear. So in general, to help combat inflammation, we choose oils that are higher in monounsaturated fats. Or our omega-3 fatty acids. So good choices for anti-inflammatory oils include olive oil and avocado oil and flaxseed oil. But flaxseed oil should not be heated, right? That could be used in like a salad dressing and that kind of thing. And then we also just have to be aware that there is a difference in quality. And because olive oil is healthy, I think everybody pretty much knows that olive oil is a healthy oil, right? Mediterranean diet and all of this. But there's a lot of fake olive oil out there. And so which is sad, right? So finding good quality olive oil is key. Also, companies can call a bottle of olive oil, even if only a portion of it is actually olive oil. And I think we need to be really, really careful about that at restaurants. Most restaurants are using vegetable oils, canola oil. I'm going to get into those in a second. But most restaurants are not using olive oil. And so when we eat out, we're probably exposing ourselves to more inflammatory oils. Okay, so here are the oils that cause inflammation. Canola oil, which is also rapeseed oil. That's what it really, the foundational seed is. Sunflower oil, vegetable oil, peanut, grapeseed, corn oil, safflower oil, and rice bran oil. There are others. These are just some primary ones to look for and become more aware of. So inflammation is the root cause of so many different ailments that we struggle with. So joint pain and arthritis, autoimmune disorders can be flared by inflammation in our system and sometimes triggered, right? They can pop up out of nowhere with stress, stressful something happening in our life. Also, an inflammatory kick into our system, which often those coincide with each other. Heart disease, brain fog, lack of energy, fatigue, inflammation, and all of those things go hand in hand. Often, if we can calm inflammation in our system, we will secondarily address a lot of these other symptoms and emotional instability and things going on in our lives. So we've already talked earlier this week about like ultra processed foods, which are also inflammatory. But these oils we didn't get in depth about them, but they are super easy to change and can make a big difference in how we feel. So this can be confusing initially because most oils are pressed from vegetables and nuts and seeds, which are all good for you, right? They're on the good for you list. And so we think that the oils being vegetable based should also be equally nutritious, but there's a lot more to it than that. And so in addition to the type of fat in each oil and those ratios of the omega-3s and the omega-6s or the monounsaturated fats, would be that how those oils are processed, right? And then how they're used in the kitchen, if you're heating them or using them, to make a salad dressing, that kind of thing. So here are the list of oils that cause inflammation that should be avoided. And when we think about how they're processed, for example, canola oil, it is highly processed with heat. And so that heat denatures some enzymes. It changes the nutrition profile. So some of the antioxidants and polyphenols and healthy benefits are kind of killed. They're ruined by the heat. They also use, with the processing or the making of canola oil, the extracting of it, synthetic ingredients to keep it from going rancid. So that's added in. And they're also extracted using chemical solvents. So that's why we look for cold pressed oils, unrefined, cold pressed, extra virgin olive oil, cold pressed seed oils, because they are not added, the heat isn't added, and the use of all those synthetics. But that can be hard to find or hard to differentiate, right? Hard to kind of figure out if they are quality or not. All right, so here are your healthy cooking oils. We've talked about olive oil. Coconut oil is a saturated fat, but it has proven to have so many health benefits. Not all saturated fats affect our bodies negatively. I think it also matters what we combine our saturated fats with. So if we're eating a diet, we don't want a diet heavy on saturated fats necessarily, but if we're combining saturated fats with ultra processed foods, our body digests them differently, which is what, I guess I haven't talked about grass-fed butter and ghee, but they are higher in saturated fats. But when they are coming from cows that are fed a diet that they are naturally designed to eat, grass from beginning to end, that butter, that ghee, has more nutritional value to us, higher in omega-3s, right? So, and then again, it matters what we combine it with. We could put delicious grass-fed, healthier butter on white flour pasta, and or that will not create a positive effect in our body. That will be inflammatory. So the combinations of food matters, which is part of what we talked about with balanced eating as well. All right. Avocado oil has a higher heat point to it before it goes rancid. So 400 degrees. So coconut oil and avocado oil are what I reach for when I roast vegetables, because I'm throwing my roasted vegetables, my fennel, my cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, all the root vegetables into the oven at 400 degrees. And so therefore, coconut oil, avocado oil are great choices for higher heat. Olive oil, a good quality olive oil for making salad dressings or for doing some sauteing, great choice. I do have some brands here. You can kind of see them. I know in my picture's probably small. So I talked about this yesterday, but Dr. Bronner's whole kernel virgin olive oil, their regenerative practices, fair trade. This is unrefined. Excellent choice. Also, when it comes to some brands, California Olive Ranch, olive oil, avocado oil, great choices. Another convenience way to use avocado oil, this is Chosen Foods, and it's a spray. So if you just have to spray a pan, right? So it doesn't stick, or for baking, I use expeller pressed, naturally refined avocado oil. So this is a great, right? It's one of these like sprays, so it's really easy to use. So that's a great brand as well. Okay, let me know in the chat if you have any questions about cooking oils. There's a lot of information and controversy out there when it comes to cooking oils. And so there are certain oils that some people say it's healthy and some people say it's not. So I don't think it's black and white. I think we also have to make our own choices relative to, where we are in life and how our gut feels about certain things. And more research is coming out, and I'm staying on top of it so I can keep you in the loop as I learn more. All right, we're moving on to the second food to avoid. And this is the one that really gets me. So here we're talking about food dyes. And I think we all kind of know that food dyes are bad, right? That are affecting our health in a negative way. But I also want to bring awareness to where food dyes are hiding. So they affect development and cause behavioral problems and hyperactivity in kids. And they do not affect all children the same way. So, some kids might not be as affected, but I think there's an accumulation in a short period of time. There's an accumulation in a longer period of time over the years. And if they are affecting some kids negatively, and the research is proving this, then even if it's not a straightforward reaction for other kids, it's probably doing something to them, right? Like, we can extrapolate the data to others. The rate of ADHD among American children has doubled in the past 20 years. And our food has changed so much. Our environment, the toxins, has changed so much in the past 20 years. There is a Facebook group dedicated to bringing awareness about food dyes. And it's incredibly populated with parents who are realizing that the effects of food, they're realizing the effects of food dyes on their children, and they're looking for ways to avoid them. And so they're bringing awareness to each other, and they're saying, oh, what can we do to replace this? And they're talking, some of these kids are having severe allergic reactions to food dyes, and they're, if they're on like hyperactivity, ADHD, if they're dealing with any of those types of issues, they're like seeing dramatic changes, positive or negative, by when they have food dyes or when they're taken away. And it's so hard. Imagine how hard that it is as a parent when their kids are going to birthday parties and even just going to school, right? Food dyes are in all of these convenience foods that our children are offered. So I guess my other thought here is how many parents don't know that this could even be a part of the reason why their kids can't concentrate at school or have difficulty focusing, and they're getting on meds for ADHD. And like, the awareness is, it's not there necessarily in the medical community yet. So other reasons to avoid food dyes is they're made from petroleum. Many of them, they're causing allergies, they're carcinogenic. The list goes on and on with how these are interacting with our bodies. All right, so let's talk about some hidden sources of food dyes. I'm shocked at how many foods that don't have color have food dyes in them. It's to make them pretty. It's to make them more aesthetically pleasing. So we want to eat them. But let's chat about vanilla ice cream. You might not even think to check the ingredient label for vanilla ice cream to see that it has a food dye in it. But popular brands like Edie's, like Breyer's, use annatto, which is also in yellow cheese, which is a food dye derived from the seeds of the achiote tree. And they use that to color vanilla ice cream. So like I said, it's also in yellow cheeses. We ideally want to choose white cheeses when we can. It's not the case in all cheeses, but it's something to be aware of. So there are reports of allergic reactions, irritable bowel syndrome to annatto. Again, it's one of those where not everybody is affected, right? And the FDA does regard annatto as safe, but but research is being done. And I'm seeing it more and more that, yeah, annatto is ANNATTO. And so more research is coming out, and, you know, more of its actual effects will become apparent. So awareness, right? That's, oops, let's go back. Sorry. Sorry. All right, moving on. Balsamic vinegar is another one. Oh, I'm reading this. I just got it. I've barely scratched the surface of it yet. But this book, Real Food, Fake Food, Why You Don't Know What You're Eating and What You Can Do About It. Larry Olmsted is the author. I was already like super intrigued right when we started, because it was all about like Parma, Italy, and Parmesan cheese. And he talked about balsamic vinegar and how hard it is to get good quality, real foods when it comes to Parmesan cheese, right? So sorry, I digress again. Okay, balsamic vinegar. So balsamic vinegar, in theory, ideally, should be 2 ingredients. It's called grape must and red wine vinegar. And grape must is just how the grape juice is kind of like processed and fermented. And it's this many, many year process, and combined with red wine vinegar. So the real balsamic vinegar can be pricey. It takes a while to years of aging, right? So companies save money by using added ingredients to make something that tastes like a true balsamic vinegar. So watch for added ingredients like sugar and caramel color. And caramel color is a food dye that is, again, generally recognized as safe by the FDA. But I think we all know that happens until it's like proven that it's detrimental to our health rather than vice versa. So the controversy behind caramel color lies in like one kind of ingredient in it, which is also used to color dark soft drinks, and it has been linked to carcinogens. So caramel color is something else to be aware of on the ingredient list. Okay, looking more closely at breads, even if you see wheat bread on the label, we can't automatically assume that that's healthy. So companies are adding that caramel color to white bread, and it can contain a very negligible amount of grains. And then the caramel color gives it more of that brown color that we do naturally see in a hearty, higher percentage whole grain bread. So it's also in store-bought like rye bread, pumpernickel bread. If it has a darker color to it, just let that trigger your brain as to what's really bringing forth that color. Pickles. This one was eye-opening to me, but it makes sense, right? Look at the color of pickles. If you made your own pickles and you used cucumbers and you added vinegar and salt and some seasonings, they are not bright green, yellow, green, right? So artificial dyes like yellow 5, yellow 6 are FDA approved and are used in several brands of store-bought pickles. I was doing some research on this, and I'm just gonna have to go to the store and look. I really don't buy like mainstream store brands of pickles. So I haven't had to do this, but there are some very popular brands that I've read include these dyes. Velasic being one, but then I also looked online, and Velasic said, I think they rebutted some of this, and they said, no, we use turmeric to color. So it's worth looking into a little bit more. I have more research to do, but it was an interesting awareness. Here's another one, oranges. So buying oranges in season, buying organic is going to be helpful in this arena, but artificial dyes are sprayed on the peels of oranges to make them more aesthetically pleasing, to make them a brighter orange, to make them like smoother. I mean, if you've been to an orchard, right, how many oranges that you see are like beautifully perfect. So being aware of oranges, and oranges don't have a label on them. So how do you know? That's a tough one. So buying organic, buying in season. I talk a lot about eating and cooking seasonally and Clean Eating Academy, and how much healthier it is for many reasons. But in shopping local, all of that. Okay, some more hidden sources of food dyes. These might be a little more obvious to you, but yogurt, right? If you've got yogurt that has color in it because it's blueberry yogurt, we want to be aware of that. So I did just say oranges, Nora. Yes, I know. Unbelievable. So yogurt, make sure you read the ingredient labels of yogurt. Yogurt also can be loaded with artificial like flavors, natural flavors, and sugar. So watch closely with those. Farm-raised salmon. There are many reasons that we should avoid farm-raised salmon, but when you buy wild-caught salmon, your coho, your king, it is bright pink. And farm-raised salmon is injected with dyes. It's even fed food that has dyes in the food that the salmon are eating, like the corn and whatever, to make them more pink. So farm-raised salmon is something we should avoid. Nora, here, when it comes back to oranges, I mean, luckily, we peel an orange, right? But do we use the orange zest for anything? Or is it soaking in? We don't know. I mean, we do remove the orange peel. So that's a little bit better, but it's, when we learn these things, it just makes us more aware of what's happening in our food world. All right. Granola, energy bars. So an example is the Kellogg's Nutri-Grain bar has food dyes in it, amongst many other things. But they're in foods where we wouldn't necessarily expect them. And salad dressing is another one. They want to make salad dressing look good. So that's important. And then we've already talked about salad dressings earlier this week in the Sunday's clean food swaps, but knowing that to look for food dyes in our salad dressings as well. So brands of energy bars and granola bars. So Made Good is a brand that I really like, and I make my own. I also have two other brands. Kind bars can be decent. Kind bars have a lot of different variety, and I buy the very simple Kind bars. I think those are pretty good. I'm trying to think of what's in my cupboard right now. I have two other brands that I bought that are kind of locally made that are really good. If you can find locally Made Good, yes, those are great. Oh, Costco sells them now. That's good to know. Because that would be very cost effective. I will take pictures and I'll post them in the Facebook group for you of some other brands. I know I'm in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and I went to Detroit. They had at Eastern Market, they had a special like all local foods. And so there were a lot of I bought a couple locally made. So if you can find things like that, like we have some great restaurants around us that support locally, and then it's like you're making them yourself, right? And you can double check the ingredients, but they're using coconut oil and as a base to hold it together, using dates, those types of things. So that would be your best bet. But Diane, relative to your question about brands that are safe, I will post a few more into the Facebook group. Okay. All right, so looking at taking action. So quick summary. actually, through the past couple weeks and pulling more detailed information, I've decided to add another module to Clean Eating Academy focused on this info and getting deeper into reading ingredient labels and more. I'm developing like a list of clean food swaps. So you have some of them. I pulled up some of the kind of the main ones or more popular foods into your workbook. But I already have like 6 pages like that of clean food swaps that I'm going to put in Clean Eating Academy, organized by here's beverages, here's condiments, so Diane, that will be where like some of those granola bars and stuff will come into play too. I did. Oh, Elizabeth, yeah. So maybe some other options for that. I just found a really great brand of fruit snacks with no added sugar. It's like 3 ingredients. They're great. Bear, Bear. There's a bear on the cupboard. We just finished our box and I threw it away, so I can't take a picture, but I'll grab that too. The kids loved them. So we've made our own with our dehydrator. They're pretty easy to make, but convenience. I get it. So anyway, in Clean Eating Academy, which I'm opening the doors to today, I'm going to add a whole nother module and I'm going to get deeper into all of this information. And in the Academy, we have a private Facebook group and Zoom. We're going to add in Zoom calls for people not on Facebook so that we can communicate a lot more about, specifically like Elizabeth, for your example, your, granola bars for your daughter, we can get deeper and deeper into all of this. I love to research it. I have a 10 and a 12-year-old, so I'm living it, right? I want what's safest for my kids. So the more I learn, the more I realize like it's important to know and it's important for others to realize. And even if we don't know how harmful these ingredients are yet, more and more research is coming out. And personally, I just err on the side of if it's questionable, why would I choose to eat it if there's another option? I know there's a lot of people that feel the opposite way and they're like, hey, the FDA approved it as safe. It's fine. But how many ingredients have been deemed safe in the past and approved by the FDA? And then over time, it changes. So that's coming for a lot of these ingredients. I know it is. So it's better to be at the forefront of it, right? If we can just be aware. So in taking action, you want to look in your pantry, you want to start reading ingredient labels and start to replace ingredients that contain food dyes and being aware of how marketing hides food dyes. And, in the past it was MSG, right? MSG has so many different names. Sugar has so many different names that we don't realize are hidden words for sugar. So it's the same thing with food dyes. And natural flavors is another one. So just increasing awareness as to what ingredients to look for. And then there's a spectrum, right? Like there are certain ingredients that we should be, and I'm gonna in Clean Eating Academy, I'm gonna go through like 10 on my list right now of this is why these are kind of the worst, right? And then there are others that aren't as extremely known to be harmful to us. So we do what we can. Yeah. All right. So just to recap, today is the last day, but I sent you an email. I'm doing a bonus training tomorrow. So it's not over yet. But these are the 5 topics we've talked about so far. All of the replays I will put together in an email today and get them to you with the workbook so you can review all of them. You'll have long-term access to them. Take note, I just did want to talk about Clean Eating Academy briefly. So I'm opening it up today. It will start February 8th and it runs for 4 weeks, but you have lifetime access to the Academy, to all the modules. Right now there's 4 modules plus a bonus module, which I just keep populating with cooking videos. But we go through understanding clean eating. We just get a lot more in depth in kind of what we talked about this week, and what foods to eat and what to avoid, and how to have grace amongst food, and the 80-20 rule, and then feeling confident building your meals and not following recipes, so that you can be an intuitive cook and know confidently you're providing you and your family nourishing meals. And you're learning the right way to meal plan for your family, which is why it's this meal by design and clean eating by design, right? It's not one size fits all. How can different families have different food sensitivities and intolerances, and how can we build plans that work for you and your specific family, and how you cook, and the foods you like, and whether or not you choose to eat meat, or how much of it. I mean, there's so much around food that takes just more detailed thought, and potentially, if you need it, help, right? Accountability and help along the way, which is what I love to offer. There's meal prep strategies, how to save time, how to become more efficient. I cook, like my kids eat, my family eats. I mean, we do go out to eat. We do get takeout, but essentially I'm cooking. It's 3 meals a day, 7 days a week. How do I do that with running a business, teaching Pilates, like all of the other things in life? I'm not in the kitchen for hours every day. And so how do you do that and become efficient? So if you're already on the path, this is like the next step, and the program is set up, the academy is set up, so you can pop in wherever you are along the journey, right? It's about getting your family on board. How do you make these meals so that your kids that only eat 2 foods right now will embrace this with you? And then I offer templates for meal planning and meal prep and clean food swaps lists. And I already have a resource in there with 30 different real food lunch ideas that work for kids' school lunches, that work for adults. And there are like cooking classes. I hop in there. I make food that I'm making for my family during the week. I share my meal plans with you. There's Q&A sessions, so you can ask me questions and we can get more in depth. I show you how to make different salad dressings and mayo from scratch, and all these different things that really, once you see them, they're not that hard, right? So if you are interested in taking that next step, this is the address. I'll put it in the chat. Let me see how easily I can throw it in the chat, so it's just a link for you. Let me see. I can do this pretty easily. But there'll be more information coming out about this, and it's in your email, by the way, as well. Let's see. There you go. So we just, spend a solid month together, really fine-tuning this. And like I said, you have lifetime access to the coursework in the platform, which is a bunch of videos. Honora, you're great. Thank you. I've loved getting to know you through the academy. It's been really fun. All right. So tomorrow at 1:00, I will be doing a bonus training, 3 ways to simplify clean eating. And I'll talk a little bit more about the academy. If you have questions, you can bring them to that event. So I'll answer some questions about that. There'll be more information coming in your email too. If you come tomorrow and join me live, I have a free gift for you for coming. So look for that as well. And I think unless you guys have any questions, I'm going to sign off and chat with you guys tomorrow. Also, if you have any questions that you think of tonight, just shoot me an email and I can incorporate them in tomorrow or respond via email, obviously. If you can't attend, that's totally fine. So, all right, you guys, it was wonderful seeing you guys here today, and I will see you tomorrow, right? Stay in touch. Oh, you guys are so welcome. I was happy to see you guys here today. All right, talk to you later.